Welcome to the reveal of our new BOO-jee pumpkin stencil and die set. In this video, we're going to reveal this exciting new product and show you how to use it. So grab your favorite brew and let's get ready to bring some BOO-jee magic to your craft projects. Hi, I'm Lisa and I'm so excited to be back sharing with you today here on the This Calls for Confetti channel. Do me a quick favor. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And don't forget to click that bell so you don't miss out on upcoming content. You're looking at the BOO-jee pumpkin stencils and die set. With this 9-piece set, you'll be able to stencil and cut out your pumpkins with ease. And don't be intimidated by the stencil set. It was created to allow the user plenty of flexibility. It won't take you long to see how easy it is to use and how impressive the results are. I'm going to walk you through each layer as we stencil our first BOO-jee pumpkin together, and I'm going to share tips and tricks with you to ensure you get the best results possible once you have this in your craft room. I have some information to share with you before we jump into stenciling our first BOO-jee pumpkin. I'm going to lay the stencil on black cardstock so you can see it better. And I want you to notice the registration marks in the corners. You need to be sure to either ink them or use a pen or pencil to mark them each time you use this stencil set. Now, this stencil has a few delicate areas at the top, so I recommend that you spray the back of it with a stencil spray to secure those areas to your surface. If you're light-handed, you don't need to worry about it. But for me, I am very heavy-handed when I'm using my blender brushes, and I'm kind of everywhere with them. So just to make myself feel better, I use a little bit of Stencil E spray on the back of the stencil before securing it to my card base. Now, while I get set up here to start the stenciling process, I want to share some more details about this. Across the top of each stencil, it reads "This calls for confetti," and down along the bottom, it reads "Striped pumpkin" and a number. It's the stencil number. If you want to easily identify the front of your stencil, just run your finger across either of those areas and you're going to feel a roughness and you'll know you have your stencil right side up. The stencils are 5 1/4 inches wide by 6 1/2 inches high. You're going to want to use a piece of paper at least 5 inches wide by 6 1/4 inches high. Now I'm going to use a sticky mat. I love these sticky mats when I'm stenciling, but you can use a low-tack tape to position your cardstock on your work surface, and that'll work just fine as well. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into this. I'm using Simon Says Fog ink with this, along with the Simon Says blender brush. And I have my stencil one centered up on my card base, and it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to die cut this once we're done. This stencil set does come with an outline die, so it makes cutting out the end result so simple. So I'm inking up the registration marks, making sure not to forget those. Those are very important. I cannot stress that enough. Once I have those inked up, I'm going to go ahead, lift the stencil, and you can see we have our vertical lines done. It's quick and it's easy. So let's go ahead and move into stencil 2 and 3. I have some tips to share with you on these. Now you're going to notice that you have 2 layers. These are shadows that are going to lay on your pumpkin. And we had to create 2 layers for each shadow because if we tried to do them on one, of course those pieces are going to fall out and you're just going to have a solid cutout pumpkin. So we divided these into 2 pieces and we have created them so that they overlap. You can see that opening there. And not to worry, we've created the last step in the stenciling process to cover that overlapped inked area. So let's go ahead, line up stencil number 2 and ink that up, and then we're going to move on to stencil number 3. So now I have stencil number 2 laid down and lined it up with the registration marks. We're going to go ahead, grab our blender brush and start laying some ink down. Now, if you're uncomfortable with the process of working with no stencil spray, then please, by all means, go ahead and spray all of your stencils before you get started on the process. It'll just make things a little bit easier. But I want to show you how easy it is to use this. I have no stencil spray on the back of these. I'm starting with my ink down along the bottom of these shadow areas and I'm working up towards the top. But you see, I'm working in a circular motion and I'm having no problems. Now, you have your darkest shadow area and then your lightest shadow area. We're working on the darkest shadow areas of our pumpkin. So stencil 2 and 3 are your darkest shadows. We did design this so that you could use one shadow or both shadows. It's completely up to you how detailed you want to get with the process. So I'm bringing in stencil number 3 here. I'm lining it up again with the registration marks, and I'm going to go ahead and start to lay my ink down. Again, you're going to notice how easy this is. It's just a matter of bringing in your each stencil layer, lining it up with the registration marks, and then inking it up. You're going to notice I'm still working in circular motions. I'm being light-handed with my brush. And notice the open area here. One thing I want to give you a tip on is when you have an open area like that, if you start your blending from the top above that open area and work down into it, you're going to have better results. Now you do see me come in along the bottom, and I just have my brush tilted slightly, working along that open area to darken it up because it is the darkest area of my shadow. Let's go ahead and remove this. And do you see these areas I'm pointing to? That's the overlapped area. I mentioned that earlier. Don't worry, you're not going to see that. So now I'm coming in with stencil number 4. So now that we have stencil number 4 placed, we're going to go ahead and come in with our same Simon Says Stamp fog ink, and we're going to create a very light layer with this. Now, I love that you can use one ink to stencil all the way through stencil number 5. The 6th stencil is going to be our horizontal stripes, and you're going to pick a contrasting color. I'm going to use black because I absolutely love this in a black and white version. And you're noticing how I'm holding down this little piece on the left over here. You can use your stencil spray. You can hold it in place with your finger. If you're very light-handed, you don't even have to worry about it. But because I am a little bit heavy-handed with things and I do get a little bit crazy with my ink blending, I just tend to lay my finger there to hold it down. I'm going to come in with stencil number 5. Remember, this is the lightest shadows on the pumpkin. 4 and 5 are your lightest shadows. So I'm making sure that my stencil's lining up. And I'm going to use a piece of low tack tape right across the top just to hold this in place. Along the bottom here, again, I want to point out that that is an open area. And I find that if you ink down those areas instead of against them, you're going to get better results. Or just use your low tack spray, and when you lay your stencil down, it adheres to your card surface and you don't have to worry about it. But I have had no problems stenciling with this, and so far the creators that have used it have absolutely loved it. And said that it was very easy for them to use. I've had great feedback on this, and I'm so excited about this stencil. We also have something coming in September that is going to allow you to take this from a Halloween pumpkin, BOO-jee pumpkin, to a fall and Thanksgiving. And I can't wait for you all to see that. It's so pretty. So here is our final step in the pumpkin itself. We still have to work on that stem, but this is the final step in completing the pumpkin. This is the horizontal stripes. You want to take your time. You make sure you're lining up those 4 registration marks. You've come a long way. You don't want to have to start over at this point, right? I'm using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I absolutely love this ink with this pumpkin stencil. You can use any black ink you want. You can use Distress Oxides with it. They all work great with it. So I'm going to grab my blender brush for my black ink, and then I'm going to go ahead and lay down. I want to show you real quick though. Like I said, you can use any color and any type of ink with this. It works great. This is a combination of Distress Oxides and some dye inks. And then the plum colored is just a combination of different brands of inks and dye inks. So let's go ahead and finish this up because I can't wait for you to see the end result with the black ink. So just coming in and laying this ink down. Again, you want to be light-handed with this. And if you're not comfortable with, trusting yourself with being light-handed, just go ahead, use a little bit of your stencil spray to the back of the stencil and lay it down and press down along those horizontal stripes to make sure they're secure to your paper surface, and then blend until your heart's content, right? So it really doesn't take much blending with the VersaFine ink if you're doing black, and before you know it, you're going to be done. So we'll go ahead and remove the stencil and reveal the final result, and then we'll come in and stencil our stem. So this just makes my heart happy. I love everything about this stencil set. It's so easy to use. The end result is just so pretty. So let's have a look at the stem stencil real quick. So you have three stencils on one piece here. You have the large open area, and you have the details for this. And you can see here that your stem didn't stencil. That area is left covered up while you're stenciling the pumpkin, so that lining your stencil up is super simple. You're just going to lay your stencil down and secure it on your sticky mat or with a low-tack tape, and go ahead and stencil it in. Now you can use this open area for the lightest ink, or for me, with this pumpkin being black, I prefer just to have a solid black stem on my pumpkin. So let's go ahead and pull it up, and then we'll talk about those detailed stenciling areas in just a second. So here's the final result of our BOO-jee pumpkin stenciling. I just love this so much. Okay, so let's talk about the details on the stem. So you have the solid stem, the open area there, and if you wanted to work with details, you would use that open area as the lightest color of your stem. And then you could come in with 2 shades darker in that same color and add the details to the stem. It's easy to line up. The stem is etched around each of those detail areas, making it so easy for you to align those on your stenciled pumpkin. Now we have one more stencil in this set, and that is stencil number 8. I love options when I'm creating, and I want to give the users of our products lots of options. This is going to be a solid image of a pumpkin. Now this is great if you're doing colored pumpkins, orange, pinks, greens, and you want to add just a little bit of color to those areas that are not shaded. Also, this will be great to create a silhouette of a pumpkin and add your fun little trick-or-treaters on the front of it, or anything that you may have that you want to add in front of it. I'm thinking a night sky with this is going to be amazing. In fact, I have a sample at the end of the video for you to check that out. Now, this does come with an outline die. So quickly, I'm going to line this die up, run it through my Empress machine off screen, and then bring this back to let you have a final look at our BOO-jee pumpkin. And here we have our BOO-jee stenciled pumpkin. I am absolutely loving this set. Let me know what you think in the comments. I have some samples here I want to share with you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and be sure that you check out our other videos from our new release. We are so excited to be here sharing these products with you all. I have links below so that you can head straight over to the This Calls for Confetti website and pick up your BOO-jee pumpkin and stencil die set. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and share this content with your crafty friends. You can join us on Facebook, Instagram, and as always, thanks for joining.